Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are focusing on one of the most astonishingly fragile objects to survive the British Bronze Age.
It's an incredible piece.
It really is. It's an artifact that is part map, part theological statement, and, well, part technological marvel, all wrapped up in something barely the size of a modern serving bowl.
And you have to remember the time frame here. We're talking about the Middle Bronze Age, so around 1300 BC, maybe stretching a bit later. The level of craftsmanship for that period is it's mind-boggling.
Our focus is the Caergwrle bowl. It's this unique oval object found almost exactly 200 years ago in 1823 in a boggy field in northeast Wales.
Right, near Caergwrle Castle.
And the discovery story itself really highlights how fragile this thing is.
It does. I mean, you have a workman digging a drain. He hits something. He thinks it's just, some old junk from a coffin.
Except he just keeps digging.
He strikes it with his spade, breaks the delicate shell, the gold fittings. Just like that.
Which is almost painful to hear, because what he'd actually struck was just priceless.
Exactly. But that accident, it confirms its fragility. And what survived is invaluable. Archaeologically, this is the only known artistic representation of a Bronze Age ship in the entire British Isles.
A Bronze Age ship made into this ornate bowl. So that's our mission today, to understand how this one object unlocks the cultural and economic sophistication of Bronze Age Wales.
We can really unpack it based on three things.
Yeah.
Its materials, its iconography, and its ultimate function as a ritual offering.
Okay, so let's get into the bowl's identity first. It's oval, which right away makes you think of a boat, a hull.
It does. But it's the decoration, the gold and the carvings that really transforms it from just a bowl into a symbol of a mythic voyage.
The visual language is that clear.
Oh, it's unmistakable. If you look at the base, you'll see these three zigzag patterns carved into the shale.
Waves.
Universally understood as waves.
Yeah.
It gives the whole object a sense of motion, a context. It's sailing on water.
And what about propulsion? How do we know it's moving?
That comes from the row of long, downward-pointing triangles just below the rim. The thinking is that these represent oars.
Oars.
It really emphasizes that idea of movement across the waves. The main body, the shale itself, that's the hull of the ship.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting for me, because this is where the belief system comes in. The eyes, the oculi.
Yes.
Tell us about these circles. What would be the prow and the stern?
These oculi are incredibly significant. They're about 15 millimeters across, and they tell us about a shared international maritime culture. They serve what we call an apotropaic function.
Okay, let's break that down for our listener. Apotropaic, what does that mean for a ship?
It means they're protective charms. Think of them as spiritual eyes for the vessel, meant to ward off evil, bad luck, dangerous storms.
So they're meant to ensure a safe journey.
Precisely. What's fascinating is you see this tradition in ancient Greek ships, and it even survives today in some fishing boats in the Mediterranean.
Wow. So a Bronze Age object from Wales is connected to practices thousands of miles and thousands of years away.
It's a truly international symbol.
Which brings us to the most valuable part, the gold frieze around the rim.
The crown jewel. Yes. It's a strip of gold foil about 16 millimeters wide, stamped with this continuous pattern of circles. And we have, two main interpretations of what they are.
What's the first one, the sort of martial idea?
The martial view is that they represent circular shields hung along the side of the boat, signifying a crew of powerful warriors on a heroic journey. It speaks to status, to might.
But there's another interpretation that seems to fit better with other finds from the period.
Absolutely, the cosmological one. This reading suggests they aren't shields, but sun disks, solar symbols.
And this connects the journey of the boat to the journey of the sun.
Exactly. It plugs the object into a much deeper, shared European myth about the sun being carried across the sky, often in a boat or a chariot. And the level of detail really pushes us toward that reading.
Because they're not just simple circles, are they?
Not at all. That's the key. Each disc contains precisely 17 finely concentric circles. That high, consistent number, 17, it moves this from just decoration into what we think is a highly sophisticated, encoded symbol, a map of the cosmos in miniature.
So let's shift from that celestial map to a material one. The ball is a cosmogram, but it's physical construction. I mean, the materials were gathered from hundreds of kilometers away.
It's a stunning testament to Bronze Age logistics. This community was not isolated.
Not in the slightest.
You can literally track the procurement map, and it tells the story of incredible organization.
So let's start with the core. The shale used for the hull, where did they get that?
That material is kimmered shale. And the only place to source that is from Dorset in southwest England.
Just think about that for a second. Someone had to get that shale from the Dorset coast and transport it all the way to northeast Wales.
Hundreds of kilometers. Probably by boat, then overland. It's a huge commitment.
It's not a casual find, then. This is planned.
It's planned, controlled resource access. They wanted a very specific, high-quality material for the hull, and they went and got it. And then you have the metals, which really anchor this to the wider European economy.
The tin.
Yes. The tin was used as an inlay to help fix the gold foil in place, and it came from Cornwall.
Which puts it right on the Atlantic tin trade route, the superhighway of the Bronze Age.
The absolute superhighway. Tin was essential for making bronze, so controlling access to it was critical.
So in this one bowl, you have shale from Dorset, tin from Cornwall, and then the gold.
The gold is probably from Ireland, or maybe even local Welsh sources, but when you put it all together, it confirms that this part of Wales was not some remote backwater.
It was a hub.
It was a strategic gateway. The local elite who commissioned this must have controlled these extensive, far-reaching trade networks. They weren't just receiving goods, they were coordinating highly specialized production.
Okay, so we have this object that represents incredible trade and complex celestial knowledge. Which brings us back to why. Why invest so much into something that clearly wasn't for everyday use?
You're right, it's not a cooking pot.
So what was its function?
The context of its discovery gives us the answer. It was found in a bog near the River Alun. It was a votive offering.
Meaning a gift to the gods.
Exactly. A calculated, deliberate act of taking immense material value and removing it from circulation forever. It was a ritual sacrifice, a huge gift to a deity or to the water itself.
So sinking it in the bog was the whole point.
The act of destroying it, in a way, was what gave it its ultimate spiritual value.
And that required this incredibly specific design. Let's go back to those gold discs, the 17 concentric circles. What kind of knowledge were they encoding there?
That level of precision, 17 circles, it strongly suggests this isn't random. It's very likely a sophisticated cosmogram encoding astronomical or calendrical knowledge.
Probably related to the lunisolar cycle, right? Tracking the sun and the moon.
That's the theory. And for an elite class, that knowledge was power. If you can predict the seasons, the solstices, you control the calendar. You control ritual life, agricultural life.
Your earthly rule is tied directly to the cosmic order.
Precisely. And this gets us to a concept that sort of challenges our modern economic ideas. We call it the ritual mode of production.
The economy is basically working for the ritual.
Exactly. The creation of these unbelievably complex objects wasn't driven by market forces or profit. It was driven by ceremonial demands. The elite needed these objects for sacred use, and they had to be perfect.
So that's what drove them to source shale from Dorset and tin from Cornwall.
It was all to fulfill a sacred duty. The ultimate goal was to demonstrate ultimate wealth by giving it all away.
What's so striking here is that the Caergwrle bowl wasn't a one-off. It came from what seems to have been a Bronze Age cultural hotspot.
That's absolutely right. This regional wealth and skill were sustained for centuries. And we know this because just 10 years after the bowl was found, another incredible discovery was made just a few miles away.
The Mold Gold Cape.
The Mold Gold Cape. It's slightly earlier, maybe 1900 to 1600 BC, but it confirmed that this area was a center for commissioning and creating objects of vast wealth.
And it is magnificent. A ceremonial garment made from a single ingot of gold found in a burial mound called, I love this, Bryn Yr Elylon, Goblin's Hill.
It weighs about 720 grams, and crucially, it shares decorative motifs with the bowl.
The concentric circles.
Exactly. So it tells us two things. One, you had a highly skilled class of artisans right there in northeast Wales. And two, the local elite were consistently creating and then ritually disposing of phenomenal wealth over a very long time.
And the bowl's iconography, the solar boat, that links this local Welsh hub to a huge pan-European belief system.
Yes, the solar vessel theme. It confirms that the elite here shared in a powerful ideology that stretched right across the continent. It shows their cultural literacy.
You can see the same ideas popping up in other incredible finds across Europe, can't you?
Oh, definitely. Look at the Neber sky disk in Germany from around 1600 BC. It's got a solar boat, sun, moon, stars. It's also thought to encode calendrical knowledge.
And in Scandinavia.
In the Nordic Bronze Age, you find miniature gold boats, and of course the famous Trundholm sun chariot from Sweden, with the sun being pulled by a horse.
So the Welsh elite weren't just trading for tin, they were trading in ideas. They were part of a shared religious and astronomical culture.
They're fully integrated. economically and ideologically. The parallels in other high-status gold work, like the Eberswald hoard or the Berlin gold hat, they all bear these complex solar symbols. It just affirms that the people who commissioned the Caergwrle bowl were major players in the intellectual and spiritual world of Atlantic and Central Europe.
So, wrapping this all up, what does this one small bowl really mean for us today?
I think you could argue it's the definitive index artifact for the Middle Bronze Age in Britain.
It's a masterpiece of craftsmanship, a map of trade networks, and a miniature cosmogram all in one.
Absolutely. And it remains one of the star treasures at National Museum Wales. Its global importance is still recognized. It was just loaned to Germany in 2022 for an exhibition, specifically to be shown alongside the Nebraska disc.
To highlight that shared tradition.
Exactly.
And yet, despite its huge importance, its local recognition is, well, it's pretty sparse. I think the only real hint is the name of a nearby housing estate, Maes Sibben, which means Field of the Cup.
It's true. And that's something the local community is trying to address. There's an aspiration, the Abermordau Sibben project, which is currently unfunded, but it aims to create a commemorative feature near that estate.
Maybe a labyrinth or a boat-shaped play area.
Something to finally provide some tangible local recognition for this piece of world heritage.
That's a powerful thought to end on. A modern memorial to this incredible sophistication.
And that leads us to our final thought for you to take away. Consider the depth of astronomical knowledge that was potentially encoded in these portable artifacts. The Caergwrle bowl with its 17 circles, its contemporaries, like the Berlin gold hat, which might have encoded the complex 19-year metonic cycle for reconciling solar and lunar calendars.
So the final question is,
How does the sophistication of their celestial and scientific understanding challenge our modern assumptions about the capabilities and complexity of Bronze Age societies? They weren't just skilled craftspeople. They were sophisticated astronomers, mathematicians, and engineers of the highest order.